Teaching about shame, and I went to God and I said, people can't understand the word shame. Do you have another word? Can you give me another word? And I heard one day, distorting the truth. And I was like, oh, brilliant, distortion.
You cannot put welts on your child's legs and then lovingly apply gauze and expect healing. Now, you might help the scars go away, but the spirit has absorbed the hatred and the venom.
Popular Utah family vlogger 𝐉𝐎 was arrested Wednesday.
It's been a really interesting experience watching everyone focus on Ruby, and I understand why, but this is Jodi. These are Jodi's words. These are Jodi's ideas. These are over decades old, so.
If you will stay inside truth, you will not become ill. You just won't. Now, I know there's some people in the audience who are like, I don't know about that. Try me out. My desire is to spread this throughout the whole entire world.
Is that why you've called Jodi the mastermind behind all of this?
Yes.
Before getting arrested and charged with multiple counts of child abuse, Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke made parenting videos together. It's hard to imagine there was a time like that, but here we are. Ruby Franke was a popular YouTuber who made and uploaded many videos featuring her and her 6 children on the now deleted YouTube channel known as 8 Passengers. Yes, dozens of viewers had raised concerns about her disciplinary style and even called for help from the relevant authorities, but nothing was done to that effect. We have spoken all about Ruby and the 8 Passengers channel, so today we will shine the light on her partner, Jodi Hildebrandt. Ruby and her husband Kevin Franke created the YouTube channel 8 Passengers. There, she showcased her life as a parent to 6 children. Everything was fine in the beginning, and the channel even gathered over 2 million subscribers. That was until she started to introduce her disciplinary methods in the videos. These included questionable acts like banning Christmas for 2 of her children, keeping them out of school to clean up the house, not to mention her personal favorite, frequently threatening to withhold food from the children and teaching them that it was a natural consequence for their actions. How did all this culminate into a child abuse case? Well, it all began on the 30th of August 2023. According to court records, one of Ruby Franke's children, who had been staying at Jodi Hildebrandt's home, went to a neighbor's house and asked them to call the police. In a 911 call, the caller described the 12-year-old as emaciated and mentioned that duct tape was wrapped around their ankles and wrists. The child requested food and water, expressing fear and indicating that they had been detained and had visible wounds.
911, the address of your emergency. Okay, and the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
Okay. Is your door locked?
No, I'm sitting outside with him on the front patio.
Okay, cool.
His ankles are taped up, and he won't tell us why.
Okay.
But he has duct tape around each ankle. Yeah, there's sores around them. I think there's a good chance he's been... Oh, and he has them around his ankles. I mean, his wrists as well. Okay, this boy has been... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Okay. Let's get the paramedics headed over that way, okay?
No, that's a good idea, too.
The child also identified their mother as Ruby Franke and pointed out how he had just escaped the home of Jodi Hildebrandt. The police arrived and found another child in the same home that was reported to be in a similar condition of malnourishment. Ruby Franke's 4 other children were taken into custody by the Department of Child and Family Services. Both women were arrested on August 30th and are now facing 6 counts of aggravated child abuse. They are currently in jail and have not entered a plea. The search warrant read that the child, quote, informed medical personnel and officers that a cayenne pepper and honey paste was made to put in his wounds. Upon inspection, The 12-year-old child indeed had deep lacerations from being tied up with a rope, and it was evident that a mixture of cayenne pepper and honey was applied to their wounds. The warrant also mentioned the discovery of used medical gauze dressings and the cayenne pepper and honey paste in Hildebrandt's bathroom, suggesting her awareness of the abuse in the home. Jodi Hildebrandt requested a lawyer and did not provide any further information to law enforcement officials. In the wake of the arrest and subsequent charges, 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍 faced immense public backlash over her controversial parenting methods. And this is because 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍 and her family had always been in the public eye, so it made a lot of sense that all the initial attention was focused on the YouTube vlogger and her family. Her partner, Jodi Hildebrandt, briefly enjoyed the benefits of not having a YouTube influencer status, but it lasted for only so long. You see, the public scrutiny that she would face was bound to come. Unlike 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍, Jodi did a good job of keeping her personal life private. However, since the arrest, statements from people around her, as well as public licensing records, are starting to provide more details about Jodi Hildebrandt. Now 54, Jodi Hildebrandt is a mental health counselor, life coach, and author who ran the now-deleted YouTube channel Connections. The channel was said to offer counseling services to parents with an approach to healing relationships through personal growth. Connections, according to its website, offers paid courses to help individuals overcome addictive or self-destructive behaviors and improve their relationships and overall well-being. Before becoming the founder of Connections, Jodi Hildebrandt worked at a renowned drug rehabilitation institution that specializes in addiction therapy. That institution is Circle Lodge in Orem, Utah. Interestingly, Jodi Hildebrandt was once married and has 2 children from that marriage. We say interesting because so much is spoken of 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍's children, but nothing about hers. To be fair, not a lot is actually known about her kids. But we have seen multiple reports identifying one of them as Addison Hildebrandt. Apparently, in old Connections videos, Jodi usually mentioned the name Addison's as a reference to the inspiration for her parenting practices. Of course, the internet never forgets, but that name is all you would most likely get. Till date, a face is yet to be put to the name. As for the second child of Jodi Hildebrandt, the identity remains undisclosed. If Jodi's children are minors, then this would be for a very good reason. Minors are rightfully protected by law from any detrimental effects of having their names and identities made public due to being caught up in criminal proceedings. Unfortunately, this is a luxury that the minor Franke children did not have because their mother, Ruby Franke, had put cameras in their faces all those years ago. Moving on, we also learned that Jodi was married to the father of her children, Brenton C. Pop. Jodi and Brenton got married sometime in 1999. They must have stayed together until their separation in 2012. All that time, Jodi stayed true to keeping her family life private. But if the occasional testimonies to her parenting style on the Connections channel are anything to go by, then both children must have stayed in her care following the divorce. While additional details regarding Jodi's life are unavailable, as she has lived a relatively private life, a recent interview with a family member will shed some light on her parenting. Jessie Hildebrandt, who prefers the pronouns they/them, is a child of one of Jodi's siblings. Unfortunately, their parents had put them in Jodi's care when they were young. Now she has granted a couple of interviews in which she revealed the disturbing details of her past that are not only relevant to the ongoing child abuse case, but also reminiscent of Hildebrandt's extreme parenting methods.
We knew 14, almost 15 years ago that she's already done this to me.
After enduring what they refer to as brutal abuse at the hands of their Aunt Jodi, Jessie has spent years trying to find their voice again. The harsh treatment Jessie endured greatly mirror all that the younger Franke children seemingly endured in that house of horrors.
This room and write out my sins on a paper. She would come back in and read these sins back to me and have me kneel on the floor on my hands and knees and beg for forgiveness.
According to Jessie, Jodi Hildebrandt has a long history of child abuse, including the use of duct tape.
So the things that I experienced while living with Jodi, I experienced being tied, I experienced being duct taped, I experienced being blindfolded, I experienced severe isolation, I experienced severe emotional, spiritual, and psychological abuse. I experienced being told I shouldn't be around other people, being told that I was dangerous to be around, People were afraid of me to the point where I was afraid of myself.
She also explained why she believes Ruby could be making up all those sexual accusations about the Franke child.
Remarkably convincing. She is also terrifying if you cross her, because she has and will systematically destroy your life. She destroys your reputation. She destroys any of your credibility, because one, we have a culture of people not believing children and not trusting children, and also children trust their parents, and then the parents trust the church. So there's been, and Jodi, what she does that's so tricky is that she utilizes and uses whatever is available. So if you go to her with OCD, if you go to her with severe depression, she'll use that information as a way of control. Oh, you have OCD because you have deep-rooted shame. And those tics are happening because the shame has nowhere to go. And so it's coming out in this neuroticism. It's devastating because I went forward as well. I mean, I went to the police when I was 16. I tried to do what I could, and no one believed me. Because why would they? She destroyed my credibility. I was an angry teenager. And I'm coming forward. I was not planning on coming forward to the media other than just doing the podcast interview. Is when I heard that Ruby accused her child of this, and I just hope that this can give the public some context and some clarity of what is happening and why they should not believe her.
According to Jesse, there are also documented police reports that confirm their story of abuse. Apparently, Jesse even made it to the American Fork police station in March 2010 and reported a case against Jodi. Although their Aunt Jodi did not face any real consequences, they were glad they made that report.
Jodi. And I understand why the public is focusing on Ruby. It's Ruby's children. But all of these theories and these modalities and these parenting ideas, that all comes from Jodi.
Taking away food and withdrawing necessities like beds from the kids. These were things that Ruby did to her kids long before meeting Jodi Hildebrandt. And she documented these things on her YouTube channel.
I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
Cut. One more thing in my house. I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off.
Grandma will be so mad.
So what are you going to do?
Are you going to cut anything else? No.
You promise? Look at Mama. I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
It was taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. So pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, he was like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
and then I walk out.
If you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
It was not funny.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. Abby, we took the phone away from Abby in November. And you may never get the phone back.
Probably not.
No, I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
I literally like told my friends I'm not hanging out with them anymore.
Because there's
They say some pretty messed up stuff.
I don't even know where they live. They're pretty far away.
So, summer goal, become the best athlete I possibly can.
Her parenting style was so problematic that a Change.org petition asking CPS to check on the kids garnered hundreds of signatures back in 2020. There are records to prove that police visited the Franke home more than a dozen times in recent years for numerous reports of juvenile issues in 2018 and 2019. There were also numerous welfare checks in 2022. It is not exactly clear why, but at some point, Ruby Franke sought professional help to fix some kind of problems in her family, and this was when she met Jodi Hildebrandt. They had allegedly gone to the Mormon church for a recommendation, and Jodi Hildebrandt came in highly recommended. From that point, Ruby must have found a solid rock in Jodi. This relationship only solidified the beliefs that Ruby herself already had as a person and a mother. In time, Ruby collaborated on Jodi's videos and was even listed as an employee on Jodi's website. However, in January 2012, Hildebrandt's counseling license in Utah was put on probation for 18 months due to several violations. These violations included disclosing sensitive private information about her clients to their church clergy and other therapists without their consent. Additionally, Hildebrandt shared a client's medical diagnosis with officials at a local university, which had a detrimental effect on the client. According to a spokesperson for Utah Division of Professional Licensing documents, a practitioner can appeal to have it removed at the 5-year mark. Hildebrandt did appeal to have the discipline removed, which was in 2017. As a result, Jodi Hildebrandt's license was reinstated after the suspension, but a stipulation and order currently restrict her from practicing mental health counseling. This limitation is pending the outcome of her criminal case. Hildebrandt has denied any guilt, and the Division of Professional Licensing in Utah will take further action on her license, depending on the outcome of the case. This process ensures both due process for Hildebrandt and the safety of the public. Two sisters of Ruby Franke, who are also YouTube bloggers, have expressed their initial lack of trust in Jodi Hildebrandt and the overall teachings of Connections. One sister, 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍, mentioned in a YouTube video that they were unaware of the full extent of what was happening in Ruby's home because Ruby had distanced herself from her mother and siblings. 𝐉𝐻𝐈𝐍 stated that she believed Ruby and Jodi's involvement with Connections led to complete indoctrination, and she disagreed with their extreme beliefs. In her own words, "I don't agree with how extreme they are on everything. I knew they were weird. I knew that they were off." Those are the things that we kept quiet about because what was I going to say? I was not going to come out and publicly say that I don't like my sister, and I don't like what she's doing, and I think she's weird. That is what we kept quiet about.
Kept quiet for 3 years on the topic of our sister Ruby and Jodi and Kevin and Connections. That is what we have stayed quiet about. We did not know what they were doing because, like we said, we were cut off. We did not have access to anyone. My thoughts towards Ruby and Jodi and Kevin and Connections is that it was all bullcrap. It was complete indoctrination of this thing that they created. I don't agree with how extreme they are on everything. I knew they were weird. I knew that they were off. Those are the things that we kept quiet about because what was I gonna say? What was I going to do? I was not gonna come out and publicly say that I don't like my sister and I don't like what she's doing and I think she's weird. That is what we kept quiet about. It wasn't until about a year ago when we were able to reconnect with Sherry. Again, we kept that quiet. We never came out and said anything. You guys saw us together and those were little glimpses when Sherry was ready to allow us to show those glimpses with her permission. And it was then that we were learning slowly bits and pieces of more. And that's where the part of behind the scenes, we did everything that we could. We did everything legally that we could do. And for those that were saying that they'd go in and bust down doors and do whatever it took to end up in jail, because from jail, I can't do anything. So I still stand by what I said, is that I did everything that I could with the knowledge that I had and within the legal rights to Ruby and Kevin.
Meanwhile, an attorney representing Kevin Franke has established the narrative that Jodi had encouraged the separation between Kevin and Ruby. Kevin had wanted to work through their issues as a family, but Ruby was bent on trusting Jodi's process. Another sister, Julie Griffiths-DeRue, also expressed a similar level of discomfort with Jodi and the teachings that Ruby was bringing to family events. She recalled how weird it all seemed in the beginning, and how uncomfortable Jodi's teachings made the family.
3 years ago, Ruby, everything was great. It seemed to be fine anyway. We were a typical family. She was getting some therapy counseling because their family needed it, which I think is great. However, I think you need to get it from a great source. Read the reviews. Jodi Hildebrandt and her website or therapy style, I don't know what you want to call it, connections, was not a great resource. And we all saw it. We all felt weird about this Jodi lady. We weren't comfortable with it. We didn't like it. We didn't like the teachings Ruby was bringing to the family functions, and we were this close to telling her, if you come to our family events anymore, we do not want to hear what you were learning through connections because we don't like it. We never did say that to her, but we thought it. Anyway, so 3 years ago, Ruby and I hung out bottling tomatoes, and then a few weeks later, crap hit the fan and she left the family. And she didn't even call me to say, hey, you know, Julie, you're doing this and this, I don't like it, you're living your life in distortion, so I'm gonna have to take some time away from you. No, literally nothing. She did call my mom and yelled at my mom on the phone for 45 minutes and accused her of things that were not true. It was almost as if Ruby had been making up memories from her childhood. She was trying to grab at anything she could, and she would exaggerate on everything. So she started all of her lies back then, lying to everyone in her life, getting rid of all of her friends and family, and I literally had no contact with her. She wouldn't respond to any texts or emails over the time that I tried reaching out to her. Never got a response from her.
Not to absolve Ruby of any responsibility for her crimes, but meeting Jodi only seemed to make things worse for everyone, especially the kids involved. Around the time she aligned with Jodi and her teachings, she began to cut everyone off from her life. From parents to siblings, friends, and even her husband, Kevin Franke. We mean, cooking up stories that did not happen just to justify irrational behavior is a whole other problem on its own. That aside, it is still a fact that these people could have done more for the kids. Her siblings must have known something was awfully wrong with Ruby and that the kids were not safe. Kevin Franke, as their father, should have done more to ensure the safety and well-being of his kids. But no, the Franke children were failed by literally everyone who could have fought for them, from their parents to all childcare authorities. Bonnie spoke about how she could not speak up about disliking her sister or the teachings she stood for, but maybe that is what she should have done if it meant keeping the children safe. With over 1 million subscribers, her YouTube channel gives her a platform to speak up for the kids. And that would have been just one voice. She is not the only sibling of Ruby with a YouTube audience. It is heartbreaking that strangers who did not know those kids personally put up more of a fight for them by speaking up all those years ago. On that note, things keep getting worse for Jodi Hildebrandt as more people keep springing up to drop one revelation after the other. According to NBC News, several former clients of Jodi Hildebrandt have come forward with allegations against her. 7 clients claimed that Hildebrandt discouraged them from talking to people outside of her influence, diagnosed some male clients with porn or sex addictions against their disagreement, and pressured them to adopt the Mormon religion. Former client Stephanie Jones stated that Hildebrandt believed that only those within her group lived in truth. Therefore, clients were not allowed to discuss their issues with anyone else. You can already see how problematic this is. When you can't speak about the supposed help you get, how can you figure out that you may be losing yourself in said treatment? This behavior led some to feel that Hildebrandt's approach had cult-like characteristics. Additionally, 5 men shared that Hildebrandt diagnosed them with porn or sex addictions, even though they did not agree with the diagnosis. One client, Spencer Tibbetts, revealed that Hildebrandt counseled him at the age of 16 after his parents discovered a secret phone he used for playing video games. Hildebrandt then enrolled him in a group for men with pornography addictions. Tibbetts claimed that Hildebrandt told him he would only receive help from therapy if he accepted the Mormon religion. Another former client, Adam Paul Steed, admitted that Jodi had once destroyed his life. She had reported to the church officials everything he told her in confidence, and also added claims that he was addicted to explicit content. Trey Warner also came forward to describe a very similar incident from his own time with Jodi. Trey Warner claimed in an interview that Jodi would employ manipulation techniques to convince people, mostly men, that they posed a threat to their families. The fact that Jodi claims to specialize in helping people overcome their addiction to explicit content and related behaviors is the problem, because it is really easy to use such things against the client in question. With such a manipulative hold, she can humiliate people and even give them the impression that there is something wrong with them for having human emotions and behaviors. But that's not all. Trey explained that he and his wife initially attended Connections, but he also detailed how he was able to see through the fade and understand Jodi's true intentions. During one of their group meetings, he also brought up a specific circumstance. He mentioned a man in his class who ran a very successful business and had a good family. This man freely admitted to looking twice at a woman he found alluring. Then Jodi said that he was a threat to his wife and children because his thoughts were impure. Just like that, Jodi was able to convince that man to rent another apartment and move away from his family.
Coming into the Connections Classroom social media pages now are just the beginning, according to former client Trey Warner. He joined a support group at the recommendation of a friend trying to improve his marriage. But after a while, he says he grew more suspicious of what Jodi Hildebrandt was teaching.
It started to feel more and more evil. And I finally, in one of the group meetings, I got up and I just said, this is off. Warner, a man that had a successful business that believed that he was a danger to his wife and his family because he did a double take. As a woman, like if he saw a beautiful woman, he would see and he'd look again. This guy got his own apartment and separated from his family because he was a danger.
In some cases, Warner claims husbands were separated from their families for so long, they were considering suicide.
They felt so sick and like such a failure that they just felt like they shouldn't be here.
This could very well be what happened to the Franke family. Jodi might have convinced Kevin that he posed a threat to his family and needed to fix his problems before coming home. This could explain why Kevin stayed away and was probably oblivious to the suffering of his youngest children. It could explain it, but it can never excuse it. It is a heartbreaking case that is nowhere close to being resolved, and the Franke children may need to heal for the rest of their lives. We only hope that they get justice to help them on the journey to achieve this healing.